Welcome to the third and final module of the FPI MyMoney 123 series. My name is Carol Lindsay and I will be taking you through savings and investments. The FPI MyMoney 123 series is an initiative by the FPI and is intended to provide financial education to the communities out there to help them with a basic understanding of financial planning. There's a disclaimer on page 5 of your workbook, and just to summarize, what it basically says is that any content which is presented or provided to you is not to be construed as financial advice. Should you need the services of a financial planner, you can go onto the FPI's website and go and search for a financial planner in your area who can be of assistance. The Financial Planning Institute of South Africa, what is it? It's a recognized professional body for financial planners, and it serves the public by ensuring that anyone who actually carries the designation of CFP or RFP or AFP are qualified, experienced and professional. Financial planning and me. What is financial planning? So just to summarize, it covers 3 important fundamental questions that you need to ask yourself. 1, where are you now? So as you're sitting there listening to me, just think about your financial situation. Where are your finances? How do you feel on a scale of 0 to 10, with 0 being totally unsatisfied and 10 being ecstatic? How happy are you with your finances? Where are you on a scale of 0 to 10? Write that number down. Number 2, where do you need to be? So where is it that you need to be with regards to your finances? Do you even know? And how do you get there? So how do you get from where you are now to where you want to be? You need to ask those questions for yourself. And then the Certified Financial Planner Professional, what is that? You know that when you are dealing with a Certified Financial Planner Professional, you are dealing with top quality. This is like dealing with a doctor or a lawyer. So the CFP professional, in short CFP, has gone through a lot of training, has got experience, signs the code of conduct, ethics, honesty, etc. with the FPI, and does the annual renewals through the Financial Planning Institute and has to attain the CPD points. So you know that you're dealing with like a doctor or a lawyer when you're dealing with a CFP. This is the pinnacle status of the financial planning industry. So they say life is better with a CFP professional. Why? Because of their honesty and integrity. They understand clients' needs and goals, and they place clients' interests first. So out of the 150,000 registered representatives who are licensed with the FSCA, which is the old FSB, only about 4,800 of them are CFP professionals. So right now as it stands, anybody can go through product training with various service providers and actually call themselves a financial advisor or financial planner. But not just anyone can call themselves a certified financial planner. This is an individual who's actually attained an NQF level 8 and has got the relevant experience, the qualifications, and has actually passed the board exam through the Financial Planning Institute. Okay, so let's get into it. We're going to chat about compound interest. What is compound interest? So you may know that Albert Einstein called compound interest as the 8th wonder of the world. And why do you think he would have actually said that? Well, what you would be doing is investing an amount of money, and over time you would be adding interest on interest on interest on your capital. So as you can see, investor 1 invests for 10 years longer and comes out stronger than investor 2, who doesn't invest for as long as investor 1, although he invests a little bit more. Can you see that? The effects of compounding interest, staying in there for the long term. And this is more for your retirement savings, so for longer term investments, adding interest on interest on interest. Inflation, what is it? Well, just to put simply, it's how prices increase. So whether it's foodstuff, whether it's petrol, property prices, you name it, prices always go up from one year to the next to the next. So generally, I mean, the CPI inflation is between 4 to 6% per annum. So, but we don't see that foodstuffs go up by, let's say on average 5%. They actually go up by more every single time you go to the shops. So just in this example, you've got in 2018, you can buy 6 tins of baked beans with, let's say, 30 Rand. 2019, you can only buy 5 tins of baked beans with your 30 Rand. In 2020, you can only buy 3 tins of baked beans with your 30 Rand. So you buy less and less with the same amount of money. But ideally, you want your money to be growing by the same rate as what inflation is growing. So you want to keep up with inflation so that in 2020 you can still go and buy the 6 tins of baked beans that you did in 2018. So here's just another example of inflation. So inflation is also called CPI, which is the Consumer Price Index. So 2019, you can buy so much groceries and you can fill your trolley with all these groceries for 200 Rand. That seems very generous. Wish I could do that. And then in 2020, for the same amount of money, I can only buy half as much because the prices just keep on going up and up and up. Because of inflation, which affects everything that you buy, whether it's food, whether it's petrol, whether it's even you renting your house, your landlord the next year, he's going to want a little bit more money the next year. You need your money to grow by at least inflation. So if you are investing, you want your money to grow. And yes, you also want your salaries to grow by at least inflation, but that just depends on your employer and how well they're doing. So if you are investing money, you want your money to grow by at least inflation, as I mentioned. And in order for your money to grow by at least inflation, you need to be invested in risk. Now, people don't like risk. They just want interest on their money all the time without taking on risk. But the fact of the matter is, if you want an above inflationary return, you will need to be invested in the more riskier asset classes. And if you've got the time, you can take on the risk. So the riskier asset classes are your property, your shares or equity, as well as offshore investments, okay, which is affected by the exchange rate, as well as whatever other asset class you're in. Building your savings and investments. The key is to ask yourself, how long do you have? Excuse my very straight line. How long do you have for your investment? Is it 10 years? Is it 5 years? Is it 30 or 40 years? Do you have the time? Because that will determine what asset class mix you need to have. So this is not a gamble. This is not you going to the casino and saying, okay, I want 100% in equities and I'm going to gamble my money in the next year because I want to save for my children's education. No. Okay, this is not how we invest. So you've got 5 years, you want X amount for your children's education, and your financial planner says, well, look, okay, fine, we'll put a little bit of equities in, maybe a little bit of properties, but because it's not such a long term, 5 years, we'll put, we want to try and protect your money because anything can happen in 5 years. So we'll put more into the safer asset classes. Equity and property, are defined as the riskier asset classes, bonds and cash, not so risky in the short term. Okay, in the long term, it can be a risk because these asset classes do not have a very good outperformance against the inflation. So if you had to put your money in the bank, what would you get there? Let's say 4%. Okay, but what is inflation? We just went through it in the previous slides. If inflation is, let's say, 5% over the long term, you're going to be losing out. So you want your money to grow by at least inflation. But if you have the time, you can have your money grow by more than inflation by using the more riskier asset classes. So equities and property in the short term, they will go up and down, up and down. But in the long term, they will go up. They can achieve, so asset managers are able to achieve CPI plus 5 to 7 in the long term rather comfortably by being invested in shares and equities. But look, there's no guarantees, but that they have been able to do that. So this is why retirement fund managers invest in equities and property to try and get that out performance. So they want to get more than inflation. Why? Because they can. They've got the time. You've got the time. As long as you don't withdraw from your pension or provident fund and now go and cash in and affect your retirement savings, just keep it invested, okay, until you're nearing retirement. Then go and meet with your financial planner and say, well, look, is my investment strategy all right? Should I stay in these riskier asset classes? So it all depends on what you're going to do with your money post-retirement. As I mentioned in the previous slide, you need to ask yourself the question, is it a short, is it a medium, or is it a long-term investment? Are you saving for a holiday in the next year or two, so that boat cruise that you've been longing to go for? Or is it medium term, let's say for your children's tertiary education in 5 years? Or is it a long-term goal? So your retirement, you're saving for your retirement, etc. Because all of this time plays a big part in actually structuring your investments. And with the help of a financial planner, you can actually do this, because we don't know everything, but at least you understand just the basics of how you can achieve above inflationary returns and what it takes. Okay, creating an emergency fund. So this is advisable. I know it's very difficult for us. I think a lot of us are quite indebted. So the first key is to obviously try and get rid of that debt before we try and create some savings for an emergency fund. So right now we are going through the lockdown period, and people are suffering, businesses are suffering, and this is where that emergency fund would have actually been of great value to those individuals. Okay. But be that as it may, some of us have not been able to create those funds, and we've had to apply for relief through the government, the solidarity funds, and so on. Okay. How much do you need for retirement? So how much is enough? Gosh, we all want to be millionaires when we get to retirement, but people need to understand that it's up to them. It's their responsibility to save towards retirement. It's not somebody else's responsibility. It's not the government's. It's not your parents or your children or anybody else's responsibility, but your own, to save towards your own retirement. And a lot of funds have converted from defined benefit to defined contribution funds. So you know what you're contributing into those pension or provident funds, you just don't know how much you're going to get out. So there are calculations out there that can actually help you come up with the end result. So what kind of income will I get? Should I contribute for so long, this much, to this fund and keep it invested and not take my money when I leave my employer? How much income will I get? Is it enough? You need to be informed. You need to do those calculations. You can't wait until you're 55 and then wake up. So just keep on it. Keep yourself informed and continuously learn and grow about your finances. Before you can answer that question, how much do I need to save for retirement? You need to ask yourself, what kind of lifestyle do you want at retirement? And there's a number of other questions that you need to ask yourself too. When will you be retiring? How is your health? What else will you be doing at retirement? Will you be getting other income at retirement? And so on. But just think about the kind of lifestyle that you want at retirement. Are you going to be selling your house, moving to a smaller home? Do you want to go on holidays? Do you want to travel? What is it that you want to do? Because that is going to affect how much you need to have saved up at retirement. And again, how much do I need for retirement? This is such a common question. How much is enough? So, and we generally look at it from an income perspective. So, how much income do you need at retirement? Because that'll determine the big pot of money that you need to have actually built up in order for you to actually draw an income, draw your salary from this big pot of money. So what they say is, if you were earning 10,000 Rand a month, the month before retirement, the month after retirement, you want to get 75% of your last salary earned. So if you were earning 10,000, you want 7,500. And this should help you maintain the same standard of living. But remember, things change. You're not going to be traveling to work every single day using petrol. Your mindset is going to change. And you're not going to think about driving the next best, flashiest car now. Your mind is now going to change to, how long is this money going to last me? Unless you've, of course, have bought a guaranteed annuity. But that's a topic for another day. Okay, so 75% of your last salary, that's what you want. And you want to have a big pot of money built up by the time that you retire. So you can draw that salary now from this money. Okay, so moving forward, first things first, get your monthly budget in order. So you've already gone through that with the previous presenter, managing a budget. Your income, your expenses, how can you manage that? How can you work more effectively with your money? And not only that, how can you work more effectively with everything, with your time, the way you utilize things that can actually cause more expenses? Whether it is electricity, whether it is DSTV, do you need DSTV, the full bouquet, or can you downgrade, and so on? Taxi fare, can you maybe walk down the road or travel with your bicycle, and in turn you get fit, and things like that. So how can you do things differently? Pay more attention to your money and where it's going. This is your hard-earned money. And I just mentioned that. Reduce and manage your debt. Okay, debt can be a huge burden for a lot of us. Try not to get into debt. Try and save up and then buy something, not buying things on credit that will cost you more than double or double than what the purchase price was. Okay. Improve your savings. So we spoke about that. Short, medium and long-term savings. You want to sort of get over that sort of debt trap. Kill the debt. I'm not talking about the good debt, because it's very difficult with having a home loan and vehicle finance. But you don't need that big flashy BMW, do you? So normal economical cars that you can use all the other money to be saving for your children's education, for that holiday, etc. Okay, so try and improve your savings. Setting short, medium and longer term goals. Okay, set those goals, write them down. A written goal is more attainable than nothing casting in stone. It sort of keeps you committed. Okay, so I want to see that coming through. Consider your estate planning. Now that might sound like, well, another whole topic in itself, which it is. All I can say on that is just make sure that you have a will in place. Anybody who has a bank account needs to have a will, especially if you've got minor children and you've got assets. Assets mean a car, a house, etc. Because if you do not have a will, the government, so there's a law, interstate succession will tell you how your things will be distributed upon your death. And you don't want that. You want to tell the executor what to do with what you've got when you die. And make sure that you've actually got enough liquidity or enough money in your estate so you can pay off that house and let your family stay in that house. And this is where a financial planner can come in and actually help you with that. Very crucial. Adequate insurance cover. So as I mentioned, in your deceased estate, one of the ways you can actually help money go into your estate is by having life cover to pay off that house, to pay off the debt, so that you can give those assets to those loved ones. Okay, other types of insurance cover, you've got disability cover. What if something had to happen to you? Should you become disabled? Funeral cover as well, so that your loved ones can bury you with dignity. There's also short-term insurance, which is more your car, your house, etc. Okay, so have a chat with your financial advisor and let them help you through it. Okay, children and money. So in the past, we never used to speak about money and finances to children, but we seriously need to start involving them with their with our finances, so that they can understand how far money goes. So you go to work, you earn your money, you come back home, and this is how far the money goes. Help them understand it. So with my kids, my son wants to go and purchase something online during this lockdown. He wants to buy an online game, and he's already utilized his pocket money at the end of March, and now he wants an advance to buy a game for the end of April. I said, no, sorry, I'm not doing credit. So you're sort of teaching them that they can't have an advance on their pocket money, because at the end of the month comes and then it's like, no, they want the end of May's pocket money. No, so teach them from a very young age. Give them a little bit and let them manage it. If it runs out, it runs out. Then you have to wait for the next month. Okay, so involve your children in finances. Give them a little bit of pocket money to manage. Let them do some chores around the house for it. Okay, and get involved in the family. Okay, find yourself a personal financial guide. So go to that website, www.letsplan.co.za. So on the next two slides, there's two different barcodes. It's called QR codes. And what you do is you download an app from your Play Store or your Apple Store, whatever store it is, and you scanning this code, and what it will do is it'll actually send you directly to a link where you can download these FPI consumer letters. Okay, so that's the one. Next slide, it's to the website where you will find a whole host of tools to be able to help you in this journey to becoming financially fit. So from a budget tool, vehicle finance, cost of credit calculator, so all of these tools are readily available to you. Thank you for joining me. I hope it has been a fruitful session. Remember, this is not the be-all and end-all of financial planning. This is just the tip of the iceberg. There's a whole mountain underneath this. But I hope that this session, together with the other two sessions prior to mine, has helped you somewhat. So don't be shy, keep in touch, stay educated, stay informed, and keep on growing.